So we use a lot of sustainable fabrics here. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about what that means to you, because there's a lot of different types of sustainable fabrics.
There are.
So I kind of want to, chat about some of the categories there are.
Yeah, so I think the two main segments of a sustainable fabric would be natural fibers. So that's one, that's cotton, linen, wool, that category. And then the second side of sustainable fabrics is really recycled. So that's fibers made out of recycled materials. It's mostly plastic bottles, plastic water bottles.
Sure.
So you're eliminating some waste there. And one other thing that's neat too is that there's been a large influx in the last couple of years of fibers being actually made in the U.S. So you can really follow that supply chain back and control the quality of at the fiber level. So there's the fibers, and then once the fibers are made, they're turned into a yarn, and then the yarns are knit or woven into a fabric. Mm-hmm. So when thinking about sustainable fabrics, like the natural fibers, are they renewable source? And then how do they impact the environment? Cotton is kind of on the in between there, where it is a renewable source, but it's one of the highest using crops of pesticides. So when you're using cotton and you want a sustainable fabric, you should really think about organic that doesn't use those pesticides. Still uses a lot of water, but that's we're all human, so you can only get so far. But it's important to be educated on what that means. And then linen and wool are very renewable and low impact on the environment, which is pretty cool. And then on the other side, using the recycled fabrics, they take a trash source, something that would have gone into the landfill or maybe recycled into something else, and turn that into a fiber. And I guess there is a third category of if you can't meet the category of natural fiber or recycled, maybe you want something that has a really long lifespan. Mm-hmm. So it's something that is a nylon or a really strong fiber that is made of chemicals, but maybe it has a projected longevity of 50 years. That would be a really good use of a sustainable fabric as well.
Our company, we have a sourcing department. We work with, how many vendors do we have now?
Thousands.
I know it's over 1,500, but we work with about 1,500 or more sources all over the world. And we have all of these different categories. We have all of these options of, recycled fibers, organic fibers, natural fibers, biodegradable fibers, all of these different options to kind of help you, navigate the industry and help figure out what works best for your clothing brand. And we love to present all these options to our clients and work through ones that are going to be appropriate for their garment. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, so one thing I wanted to add to it is, natural fibers. It's sort of a given, but one of the main advantages of them is everything goes to a landfill eventually, right? Mm-hmm. All of our clothes will go to a landfill eventually. So one that's going to biodegrade, and the other one that's just going to sit there forever, the polyester one or whatever. So that's one of the big reasons where natural fibers are good. It's going to decompose eventually, and the synthetic polyesters, nylons, things like that, maybe they'll decompose, but probably not.
No, they won't. They won't. And what's cool about the textile industry right now, and something that we're really on the forefront of, is new technologies. So there's a lot of development happening with textiles that don't limit you to those categories, but the mills really trying to develop yarns that can be recycled, or the fiber, you can rip apart the used garment and turn it back into a fiber. Like recycling the actual fibers is something that mills are really working a lot on right now. And so it's more of an exchange of fiber versus making new stuff. And what's cool is that's something that we do focus on in our sourcing department. So it's basically, we can advise you on whatever area you're interested in, and maybe a cotton won't work for your cycling jersey, but maybe this recycled poly will, or maybe there's a new technology that can be recycled once the garment's done.
Yeah. Really, there's a lot of ways you can contribute to being a sustainable brand and or slow fashion brand. And sometimes you can only pick one of the things that we talked about, and we're not here to judge or or anything, but we're really trying to help educate people on all the different options. So just to kind of recap different things you can do, making in the US, where there is a standard of living and wage rules and job, all sorts of regulations on how employees are treated and everything. So that alone is just a really big step, right? So if you could possibly do that and not any of the other things we talked about, you're still making a huge impact. Again, another part is low minimums, just ordering what you need. That is making a really big impact, so you don't have all this excess. Think about the fabrics you're using. That's another thing you could do. Maybe you can't make in the US, maybe you have to make overseas for whatever reason, but maybe you can make an impact by using only biodegradable stuff or only recyclable. So these are just several categories of options where if everybody starts having the conversation and starts thinking about them and just maybe even picking one little thing out of there, we're all going to start making a bigger impact on the industry and make it so it isn't maybe the number 2 polluter on the earth.